like to point out a few businesses that he forgot. There is Manasseh Entertainment, which is me personally. I've listed under Mr. Mogobe. So you can also hire me as your entertainer. There's Manasseh Gardening, which is also part of my business. That's also me. Window washing, mechanics. Yes, he's moving into robotics as well. You're doing AI? Yes, okay. Construction, shoe making, glass making. He owns 13 salons. They specialize in one hairstyle. Guess which one? But all jokes aside, it's a man with a wide portfolio, and I cannot say how lucky we are to actually be able to have access to how he can spread just his ideas, his concepts, his wealth across his businesses, and that is the information that we're going to get today. If you want to look more into that, we have his books, Mr. Mom. I actually have never been comfortable calling you Mom. I don't know, my apologies. But we have Mom's Nugget of Grit. Right, Nuggets of Grit. It is also available for purchase, as well as the other two gentlemen here who are, let me not get this wrong, Mr. Witness, yes? An author, an entrepreneur. What else do you do outside taking over businesses and creating money? Please, what else do you do? He lives and he teaches. Alongside him is Mr. Seatla. Don't let the good looks fool you. There's a sharp mind behind those very prim eyebrows. There's a business sense. He's also an entrepreneur, a writer, a speaker. And I cannot, once again, express my gratitude at being allowed to be on this stage. I may be saying jokes because it's part of my job, but it is, in all seriousness, an opportunity that we should all take full advantage of. And with that, I would like to say, I want to invite Mr. Seatla, I believe. Mr. Seatla, I've never heard you speak. I am very looking forward to it, and with open ears, I'm assuming, open ears. Everybody here is going to be waiting on him. And with that, please, join us onto the stage and give us our first session.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The height doesn't always favor me. All right. Thank you so much, Master of Ceremony, for that. And then I think I'm also privileged to be speaking among some of the great, Mr. Mogobe. We have spoken a couple of times in different forums, but I'm speaking for the first time, Mr. Witness Mdaga. I've been following his work for quite some time. He's doing incredible works in South Africa, but he's also getting into the region. So these are some things they inspire us all the time as business people when we see others, doing great things out there. So I'm really glad to be here. Mine is not on real estate. I'm sure those of you who follow my work, you know that I speak specifically about money. And the idea behind that is that, there's some misconceptions, as Africans, we have around money. So it doesn't matter whether you want to start a business or you are very good at business, you have great business ideas, as long as you don't understand the world of money and how money works and how you need to be treating money or living with money. We have seen a lot of examples of business people here in this country who have had great opportunities to make a lot of millions doing tenders or maybe setting up a certain type of business. But the moment there's a crisis, they all disappear. Why do you think that is? And I've spent the most part of my life working for, some of the largest financial institutions in this country and the world over, really. And I have seen horror stories of how our people behave around issues of money. Some of them, they look like me and you, right? When we are working on corridors, it looks like everything is intact, right? The suit is looking nice and nicely cut. The car is always clean, nice neighborhood, nice house. But you look into their bank accounts, there's a lot of misery there. And then we understand why they say that we are, I don't remember the position, but we are one of the unhappiest nations in the world. You've seen those stats, right? Where is the unhappiness coming from? Because over the years, the middle class has been developing. People have been earning better. Neighborhoods have been developing. People have been staying in nice houses, nice cars. Where is the unhappiness coming from? It's coming purely from the failure of managing money properly. So what I teach, and it has become, it has become a Bible for us, the principles of wealth creation. We have taken rounds around this country teaching these principles to young people, to unemployed people, people in the informal sector, and also people who are working, whether you are at the top end, in the country, or at the bottom. We teach the same principles and they apply everywhere. And until money is always going to be a bit tricky, right? We have seen a lot of people who really try. Just the other day, I was having a consultation with one lady. She has done really well for herself as far as investing a bit of money, saving a bit of money. She has done really well. Compared to an average person, she has done incredibly well, right? But her greatest challenge was that now that she has been able to accumulate a lot of money, she doesn't know what to do. She's stuck, right? And then we have also seen people who have done well as far as, putting together a real estate portfolio. But now you are stuck. You don't know how to fund them. You don't know the technicalities of making sure that the return comes back. So these are different challenges. But when you look at those people, we can't say because they have accumulated some of these things. So they were really trying to do well. But at the end of the day, they are still struggling. They find themselves just like anybody else. Why? Because they don't understand these principles. Now, we teach the six key principles, and we have a book on principles of wealth creation. This one is going for 180 pula. Yes. So I'm sure so it moves like fat cakes. Friday. So we teach these principles. There are 6. But you need to understand. But if you do understand this once, a foundation, right? The first principle is the principle of earning. Most of us, we are earning, but we've never been taught how to earn. Because it's in a school, and then we found a job, and then at the end of the month, someone is responsible for our pay. Get to work, and then at the end of each month, somebody guarantees a pay. For most people, that is what you get. So we did not get inducted in the idea of trade and understanding how money is actually generated. That's why we don't even respect the money at the end of the month, because we don't know the ways of making that money. Even when you are sweating at work, you don't really feel it. That's why it becomes so easy for you to pull $200 and give it to them. But if I was to calculate for you how many hours that 200 pula means, differently feel no man. I did 2 hours of hard labor and now I'm giving it away, right? But we don't look at it like that again, because I can give. So we teach people the principle of earning. It's just a way of exchanging again. We exchange a service and then somebody pays you for it, right? But unfortunately for most of us, that's why all of us Re godile go ithela rena bo 24, 25 years before we started earning. But there's another child who started earning when they were doing standard 1. Because they learned how to sell a chocolate, a sweet, or go rekisa dinamune ko sekolong, go rekisa chips, right? That child, if I want money, I just need to get something, buy it for 50 thebe, sell it for 1 pula, and I get money. And they learn that before they get to university. Personally, I only started learning that when I was doing economics. And I was already in my late teens by then. I was learning the art of trade. That for money to be made, there has to be a trade, right? So what we then encourage people, because I know that most of you, you could be employed, so my dear, at the end of the month. But we encourage everyone to find something that they can trade, which can pay them. Because being dependent on one source, dependency source why. Because I'm responsible for that source. Any day I threaten, I know you are going to be shaken. Right? Every time when you hear what there's a restructure happening, something is happening with the company, you get scared. You are terrified. Right? Right? It's because you are dependent on one source. And this is not to say we need to move away from that source. That source is very important. That source is very important. But we need to make other sources, right? And 7 sources of income as financial advisors. And a lot of people, when they think of 7 sources of income, they're like, man, 7 is too much, right? I'm at 1 right now. How do I get to 7, right? But the simplest ways of earning extra, you have that money that you are earning, you save a bit of it, you can earn interest on it. If you can earn some commission, you are already on 3. If you work harder, you get a bonus, you are already on 4. You can guarantee yourself these things within your work. But you need to make sure that there are other sources, right? But most of the time, the skill is right? We have special skills. Personally, to speak in front of people is something that can pay. And then years later, I charge 35,000 an hour to speak, and companies are paying. People are paying. And this just comes from a skill that I didn't necessarily learn. It's something that I was born with. So you can still leverage that. But it doesn't end there. You still need to nurture it. You need to grow it so that you can get to those levels. I get what there's a friend of ours just from South Africa, Vusitembe Kwayo, who charges $35,000 for the same time that I charge Pulas. Same. And he will speak for an hour, he will get that. So these things are possible. But for you to get to think at those levels, you need to be exposed. You need to expose yourself, right? The reason why most of us, we can't even think of another stream of income is because we are not exposed. Environments like this, they expose you. That's why we are always glad to see people who come because we know that this will expose you. This will change something in how you think. The second principle that we speak to is the principle of saving, which is really protection of the money that you have created. I don't know how many of you here have tried to save consistently for at least 5 years. How many here? Well, I know Mr. Mogobe does that very well. So he's an exception. 5 years straight. Saving money. Money that you have earned over years. We call that protecting your resource when you save money. And saving money is not a thing that makes you rich or wealthy. Saving money is just a thing that gets you disciplined. When I used to work in the bank, we used to take great comfort from people who save money. We gave them a lot of money when they wanted to borrow. You know why? Anyone who can sit with a bank account full of cash and they still live their lives comfortably, that is a person that you can trust. You can do business with that person. That is a disciplined individual. Most of us, we are not disciplined, but then you go to the banks, you ask for a loan, the bank doesn't want to give you a loan. Why? Because they looked into your account. They have traced your steps, and they can tell this person is not disciplined. We give them money. If something wrong happens with their stream of income, this person won't be able to pay us. How many people here work for government or corporates where deductions are done from source? You think you are disciplined, you pay well, but it's not you. It's forced on you. The only deduction that we can trust you with is one that you deliberately make. A saving that you have done personally yourself. So saving is a discipline. You can't create wealth until you have learned how to protect money. Protect the source. Once you have learned how to protect the source, then we can teach you how to invest, which is the third principle of wealth creation. The conversation of investing cannot start before we have learned the discipline of protecting the mind. Because we know what happens to people who jump into investing before they learn the discipline of protecting the mind. What do? They jump into very, very risky investments. You know why they tend to do that? Most of them. Over the years, you have squandered, right? So now an opportunity comes where you can actually recover everything that you have squandered. So when I come to you and say, I have this investment, it's so powerful. Put in 100,000, tomorrow you will get 200,000. You will believe me. It's because of desperation. In my dealings with clients, I've never met one who has been scammed from their lifetime of savings. I've never met one like that. Most people who are scammed, they're either scammed of their pension. Remember, pension is a lifetime saving, but you don't do it deliberately. It's forced on you. That's why you can lose it easily. People who save consistently every month and they meet a scammer, and then a scammer says, I can double your money overnight. They're not easily convinced because they understand the process so well. They know that money doesn't double like that. It takes time. It takes time. And you listen to any wealthy person, if you follow any wealthy person, they will always tell you, these things take time. Business itself takes time. Even building a social media platform takes time. I see people posting one video and then they expect it to reach 1 million the following day. It doesn't work like that. It takes time to build. And you have to be patient. But you learn the patience from protecting your resources. That is principle number 3, the principle of investing. A very, very long-term thing. When we are talking investments, we are talking 25 years, we are talking 30 years, we are talking lifetime, we are talking next generations, right? How can you do that if you can't consistently save for 2 years? It's not possible. So this year, I want you to try me on this one. This year. Because I try to save for at least 24 months in a row. And tell me what changed in your life during that 24 months. I guarantee you there are certain things you will see. A lot of spiritual things will happen in your life. Most of the problems that you have been encountering, they just disappear for some reason when you have money. They just disappear. All of a sudden, your car is never scratched. Burglars don't come to your house anymore. It just disappears for some reason. When you can save money. Very, very powerful concept. Sometimes I take it back to the time of Adam and Eve. Remember, they were left in the Garden of Eden. And God said you can have whatever you want except for just this one plant. Why star protect? Because he has got all this power to do whatever. Why does protect the star so that they can't access it? He left it there, accessible to them, because he understood that for you to learn discipline, it has to come from within. You have to discipline yourself. That's power. That's power. And as you get wealthier within your wealth creation journey, you'll realize that wealthy people are a lot more patient. They take time to make decisions. They will come, they are asking for a loan, 25 million, 30 million. I know that I'm going to hit my targets for the quarter if I can close that deal. And then I present a facility letter to say, no, now we can sign, close a deal. You know what they will do? They'll hold on to that facility letter for 2 weeks. No, just wait. We are still looking at it. Like, guys, you have lawyers in your company. Why can't you just look at this thing in a day, we sign? But the reason why they would do that is because they are never desperate to access cash. Bible ba apply la gore ha go sengwe se ka thagoga ba khona re ba dirisa madi a teng, but not because they are desperate for the money. They will not call you every day asking gore loan ele tsa maha kae. Patience, that type of patience, it comes with a lot of discipline over a long period of time. And you can only learn it when you follow these principles. And then principle number 4 is the principle of risk management. Remember, guys, whatever we try to build, we need to be able to protect it from right? We have seen a lot of people trying to build wealth. They have really done well, creating the money, saving the money, investing the money, only for that building to burn down, and then they have not insured it. All of their savings. To a normal person, it looks like you had a proper plan because now you have the money to sort it out. But that money was not supposed to be used for that. That money was for wealth creation, for the next generations. But how often do you try to save money and then something happens mid-year and then you cash a thing to sort out an emergency? That is a poverty mentality where we are always starting afresh all the time. Every year you are starting afresh. You don't continue. Wealth creation is a process of continuation. When Mr. Mogobe leaves this world, God forbid. He doesn't want his children to start where he started. Because if they do, he knows the struggles. It will be very difficult for them. They have to start somewhere. So he needs to ensure that he protects his businesses against unnecessary risks. Because it's very easy to lose everything because you don't have a proper risk management model. And it's not just insurance. It's legal. You need to have proper protection, good contracts. That is part of risk management. It's about business continuity. What happens when you are not there? Is someone going to be able to do this and that? All of these things you need to take care of. Don't leave it to chance. And then principle 5 is the principle of giving. how does giving away what you have made act as a part of wealth creation? How important is giving? Why it's as a principle of wealth creation? I get we give, don't we? We give various things, right? Rabecha, we give to parents, we give to church, right? And we give because we have been promised that if you give, you will receive the gift of giving. And your things will multiply, right? But here's the trick. And one of the reasons why we put this particular principle in our book, we know that Africans lose a lot of money to giving, but they never see the results. Why? Because there's a process that you need to follow before you can give. And there are things that you need to give to. Right now, if you go to Bill Gates, he has a lot of money. Go to Bill Gates. Abo Moraware, otoka go rago hemadi, because there are people ba ilong gore ba tswa go tronkong ba go tshwenya, ba tswa go tronkong, they don't know what to do, ba to ba rehabilitate, you want to start a center. He won't fund it, not because he doesn't have the money for it, because he funds only things tse ilong gore they speak to ene, do tse ilong gore wa di eletsa o batla go di achieve. Because if it doesn't speak to you, it's a total waste. If it doesn't speak to you, it's a total waste. If you are in a church and you are giving most of your money to the church, and the church e dira tiro e nte ya go thusa bana ba ba senang batsadi ba rekela dijo gore ba ja akere, but wena go mo go tshwenya mo botshelong ba gago, mo go tshwenya ke batho ba ile gore they are victims of rape, but your church is not involved in that. If you continue to give all to the church and not to that cause which affects you, you will continue to be affected. And as long as you are affected, there's something troubling you. Trust me, your creativity will be very, very limited. Because there's that thing that keeps on bugging you. But how is so small deal? People get to their 60s, their 70s before they can give to a cause. We conform and then we give to causes. Ratshosa, let's do this project, you give to that cause. Let's do this project, you give to. But when you have never given to your cause, that's why you are not happy. And when you are not happy, you can't be creative. And then the last principle of wealth creation is the principle of estate planning. When you have done all the good work, you have learned how to earn, save, invest, manage your risk, and you understand the power of giving and how it should be done. And there's a reason why I put giving at number 5 and not number 2. Most of us, we earn and start giving, right? I put it at number 5. You know why? You need to sustain your flows first before you can start giving. Sustain your flows first. Because when you give, there's some level of dependence to the people that you are giving to. How can you depend on someone who has one source of income? Your dependents are also under risk. Because if you lose your job tomorrow, they won't be getting what you've been giving them. So I always encourage people, look, learn to earn, learn different ways of earning, save the money, invest the money, manage your risk, and then you can start giving. That way, in a coma for 6 months, the check to where you are giving will still be going there. Isn't that what we all want? Most of us may not know because We give, and then we disappear. You want that to continue. You want that to continue. And then the last principle is the principle of estate planning. This one is very close to my heart because I have seen a lot of horror stories. There's a program in Mzansi Magic. Yeah, I blew it. And when you look at how people get access to a lot of money and they blow it, money requires a certain level of respect, right? And in most cases, money prefers that you learn how to make it in bits and pieces before it comes to you as a lump sum. Because when it comes to you as a lump sum, most of us, I mean, I can see very few people, maybe 1, 2 here, if they are credited with 10 million today, they will be okay. If you receive that alert now, there's 10 million in your account, do you think you'll be okay? Your mental health will be at stake. What am I doing here? Because you are a millionaire. But you are not a millionaire in the mind. You have a couple of millions in the account. And normally what people will do when they have a couple of millions in the bank, but they are not millionaires in the mind, they will get that money to where their mind is. So if your money is in the 10,000s, you will drop that money. The time you recognize that you have squandered is when now you are at the 10,000s. That's when you are going to say, wait a minute, what happened? And by that time, when that happens, you have destroyed your life. You know, you have drank bottles that you shouldn't have drank. Your liver is not sitting well. You know, at that time you are so tired. You know, you got involved with people that have generational wealth. Now they won't hang with you, not because they don't like you, because they hang generally with people who can buy such bottles and go to such places. If you can't maintain that, sorry, but they can't do anything for you. They will leave. We do the same with our children. Every time when we work so hard for so long, and then we leave them with a couple of millions. Rabadirela, I blew it. Rabadirela, I blew it. So estate planning, it's a very, very important aspect of wealth creation. You need to understand that whatever you have tried to build, just know that there are people that are looking at that thing and they see a lot of value in it. And they are thinking about it all the time. And people are going to fight over your things. Not just money. When you die, your assets gain, they call it sentimental value. All of a sudden, that car that costs 50,000 to your children is $1 million car. Because they remember how you loved that car. And they will fight over that car if you don't plan properly how those things have to be executed after your death. So for estate planning, we are talking about wills, proper wills. I'm not talking about nomination forms. I get most of us, we do 20% to my son, 20% to my other son, 20% to my daughter, and then 40% to my wife or my husband. That is not a will. That is a nomination form. A will speaks to what you want to see and how you want things to progress when you are not there. You have to write a book. You have to write a book. I've seen wills this thick because the owner wanted to describe how they want things to be done. Set conditions, proper conditions. You know that all your 2 children or your 3 children, they're not the same. One can be comfortable with $1 million. The other will be damaged by $1 million. You know that very well when you are still alive. But you have decided that you are going to divide them equally when you know very well that there's going to be chaos. So estate planning is something that each and every one of us have to be exercising all the time. You keep on updating your wills. You create trusts. It gets complex. It's very complex. It needs a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Mr. Mogobe is. He can guide you. There's a process, right? At first, it has to be legal. You don't use emotions. You use logic when you are doing estate planning. Because when you use emotions, you die, your children will go to court, and then they will scrap that thing that you wrote. Because it was not legal to start with. You took out your partner, whom you are married in community of property, and you thought you will get away with it. You can't. It's way more complex than that. We need to seek legal advice. So guys, the 6 key principles, it has to be something that we follow. I know that most of us here are still at principle number 1. We've been practicing it for years and years and years. We haven't moved to principle number 2, right? Some have tried to skip principle number 2 to principle number 3. It didn't work out. They ended up closing everything, shutting down their unit trust, shutting down their long-term investment because they wanted to sort out an emergency, right? I know this happens because I have seen this. I have done insurance. I have worked in pensions. I have seen this over and over again. And it's just a mindset thing. You just need to tweak your mind to say this is not how things should be done. This is how we need to be operating. So when Mr. Mogobe and Mr. Witness speaks about real estate as an investment, you guys need to understand that there's a build up to getting to those things. And discipline is one part of it. Discipline, it's actually the biggest part of it. It's the biggest part of it. So I want you guys to understand those principles, live them, and then rechange mindset wa madi hela gore madi ke instrument e leng gore e ne e dirilwe ke batho ba dumelane gore ga re ka ra tsamaya re kukile di gold le di kgomo re to go dumelana ka pampiri e yang go sainiwa mongwe le mongwe a ba re this paper, it's a legal note. It represents 10 bars of gold. So there's no way money can be evil. It was an agreement between men, sanctioned by God, to say this is a good thing. Because the world is moving and the world is changing and rahola. How can you watch a really trade? You carry a piece of paper. It's easier. You just send a couple of digits and then it arrives. We have agreed on this thing. But if you fail to make money, it can only mean one thing. You don't have creative ideas which are supposed to help humanity to move forward. Because only those who make money. So let's participate, guys. Let's participate and get into the money business and start making money and loving money and loving the art of making money. Because when we do that, it's only when we know that we are serving God, when we are helping other fellow humans. They will reward us with money. Money is a reward. You don't get it by force. I can't force you to buy this book. You buy it because you see value in it. I've given you value. Guys, thank you so much. But thank you so much for your attention. Ha ke tsore ha le tsididiana ke le depressitse or you learned, I don't know, but I hope you've learned something.
All right, can we give him a last round of applause? All right, I always say to people, we could have conferences, seminars all the time, but if we don't actually let this information soak into our hearts, it is of no benefit, it is of no profit. So Mr. Ratshosa has planted, and may we go out there and water these seeds.